report. The first is the maintenance prioritisation criteria. We're required, as I'm sure you'll know, by the DFT to review our asset management policy biannually. This is an important part in delivering our highway maintenance efficiency programme. We have to demonstrate that we prioritise correctly to get maximum value from our highways assets, and of course there is a penalty to our capital funding if we don't. The prioritisation summary is set out at Appendix 1. The second element of this report is to develop a considerate contractor scheme. This would apply to those conducting works on the highway and seek to ensure that they go the extra mile and consider the needs of other road users. For example, better information for residents on the nature and likely duration of works. I think this is something that we'd all appreciate when we come across a lot of these roadworks that we see in Thurrock week in, week out. There may be a number of other requirements too, but a full scheme will be worked up for approval by Cabinet in the summer. The third element of the report is to endorse a programme of cycle network improvements. These support the aspirations for cycling set out in the 2013 to 2016 Thurrock Transport Strategy. We have funds of £5 million for cycle infrastructure development via local growth fund bids. Work has been done to develop schemes for approval, and again the plan is set out in Appendix 2. The next stage is detailed designs to allow us to begin to draw down funds and deliver these improvements. Finally, and I must admit this is the component of the report that I'm most excited about, we're proposing a pilot scheme for better HGV management across the borough. HGVs in Thurrock have been a huge problem for a very long time. They often end up in residential areas, taking routes that they're not supposed to. They're noisy, they damage roads, and they add to our air pollution in a borough where our air quality is already unacceptably high. We've made good progress, I think, on this over recent years, with weight limits in place to divert HGVs' journeys away from areas that they shouldn't be. However, we have been reliant on the police to enforce those weight limits, and too often HGVs are able to ignore those without penalty, and obviously this is to the huge detriment to our residents. That has to end, and we're now proposing much tougher action to deal with the problem. I'm therefore proposing a pilot scheme that will see camera enforcement of key weight limit areas across the borough. Under this scheme, if HGVs break the weight limit, they will be automatically punished. The areas that we are exploring the siting of cameras for are set out on page 190, and I will just read that with your permission because I think there is some important information there. So first of all, camera enforcement of existing width restrictions with bus bypass facilities at London Road, Askews Farm Lane and High Road, at London Road, Askews Farm Junction and High Road, North Stifford. Introduction of new width restrictions with bus bypasses with camera enforcement in Aveley High Street and Stifford Road. Investigation of spot HGV camera enforcement with bus exemptions but excluding other except for access rights at London Road, westbound from its junction with Devonshire Road, London Road and Motherwell Way, South Road in South Ockenden and Rector Road, Towers Road. So I think this gets us a very long way forward in terms of some of those key hotspots across the borough where HGVs have been able to flout weight limits in the past. Ultimately, I think my vision for what we want to do with this goes somewhere beyond this. I'd like to see us be able to develop this into a full low emission zone for Thurrock. Clearly this is something that has to happen in a phased way, and we have to take it step by step and make sure that the data backs up the fact that we are having an impact. However, London's operated a very successful low emission zone over the last few years, and I believe that this is what we should be targeting here in Thurrock. We need to take decisive action to start to tackle air quality issues in our borough. I think this is a very good first step, and a lot more should follow. And I therefore move the recommendations of 1.1 to 1.
More perhaps about the considerate contractor work, because we have in Staffley up and Corringham over the course of about a year or so, 2 roundabouts substantially reworked, and I think it is fair to say that the quality of the contractors work on both of them differed dramatically. And you know, other walkout colleagues of mine and I received significant numbers of complaints about the Solomons roundabout refurb, and a lot of those things are things that can be covered by having a clear expectation of what contractors are going to do. These problems around communication, there were problems around working hours, the sort of disposal of waste, and some of them is covered by planning condition and they need to be enforced by us, but we need to set a very high standard for these things, which are immensely disruptive to people's lives. So I really welcome the early stages of work, and I look forward to seeing more of it.
It
was just a higher standard of communication. I think that was the real difference. And we had problems, both the residents and I have to say myself and I think the council have problems with the second group of contractors, just in terms of communicating what was happening, communicating residents' concerns. And with all of these things, when communication is bad, kind of hostility escalates and people start getting their backs up and it becomes a fight rather than a kind of how do we solve this problem. So, really fixing in very, very clearly set what contracts need to set out the expectations and to tell residents what's going on. With the bigger roundabout works and Manaway roundabout, I think people are obviously annoyed about the disruption, but I don't think it got to people in such a way because it was clearly communicated, they recognised it had to happen to improve when they came. But all of that was down to the point of communication.